Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 530 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger. Janelle's off tonight. A settlement reached in a data breach that exposed the private information of hundreds of thousands of Montanans. It was one of the most damaging digital thefts ever, with the private information of almost half the people who live in America exposed. What you need to know if you were one of the millions affected by the Equifax breach. Attorney General Tim Fox and 49 other attorneys general announcing a settlement of over $600 million today with credit monitoring giant Equifax. That settlement was concerning the 2017 data breach that impacted some 147 million Americans. In Montana, an estimated 380,000 people's data was compromised. As part of the settlement, affected individuals will receive free credit monitoring for 10 years, identity theft restoration services, and the company must also help victims dispute inaccurate information that is the result of identity theft. Equifax must also strengthen its data security. Money from the settlement can also go to victims to reimburse them for the time and money previously spent trying to avoid or recover from identity theft.
Be aware that there are hackers out there, like in this case, that accessed a lot of very sensitive personal information that if it's out there, then people can take that information, they can steal your identity, they can go get loans in your name. They can really ruin your finances. So it's extremely important that we protect that data.
Well, out of that $600 million settlement, $175 million go to the states, and out of that amount, $1 million will go back to the state of Montana. All right, we want to turn to the weather now. Instead of waves of rain, we are hearing about an incoming heat wave.
Yeah, it's our turn. We remember last weekend it was the rest of the country's turn for the heat. This time it's another story. It's our turn. So how are people dealing with the heat today? Well, it wasn't too bad this afternoon. As you'll notice, these kids are out there having a good time, having some ice cream, playing in the water. This is actually a really good idea. Just stay as cool as you can. That's what they were doing out there today. Mitch Laggy suffered the high heat today and got these pictures for us. Thanks for doing that, Mitch. Yeah, that's what they were doing. So here's the story. Big ridge of high pressure building over the northern Rockies. You can see it there, the black area. That's where we have the driest air. Or we see the white, that's where we have some clouds. And you'll notice we do have some spotty showers and thunderstorms towards the southwest. The big question is, are those guys going to be coming our way? Maybe we have a slight chance for some showers tonight and again tomorrow evening. But look what the temperatures are going to do. They're going to stay in the 90s all the way through the rest of the week. Maybe cool down to 88 degrees by the time Sunday gets here. Let's go back to Russ.
All right, thank you, Bob. Conditions in Montana are not as dry as they could be, but the fire danger is likely to grow starting this week. The governor's Drought and Water Supply Advisory Committee met today in Helena. Currently, much of western Montana is abnormally dry, and some areas in the northwest are in moderate drought. The situation in northeastern Montana has improved since the area has received recent precipitation. Michael Richmond, a meteorologist with the Northern Rockies Coordination Center, said the fire danger across the state would be much worse if it hadn't been a relatively cool spring and summer. But since this week is expected to be much warmer and dry, that risk will increase.
We have had a lot of lightning over the past several weeks, especially over the timbered areas in the mountains, thousands of lightning strikes. So there certainly would be some holdover fires that are just sleeping in the dead fuels, just kind of creeping around. And this kind of weather will make them more active, but they will also be able to see where they are.
Richmond says long-range forecasts suggest western Montana will see higher than average temperatures in the next 2 months, which could extend this year's fire season. The Glacier National Park officials say they are investigating a group of tourists hitting golf balls from going to the Sun Road this last week. The footage shows 2 men golfing from the edge of the scenic mountain road while surrounded by onlookers, both watching and recording the incident on cell phones. Passerby Misty Morrow told MTN she and her family were on their way home from Illinois last Monday when road construction stopped them just east of Logan Pass. Morrow says many people turned off their vehicles, got out to take photos and soak in the beauty when the 2 men began hitting several golf balls into the valley below. Law enforcement calls are up some 40% over 2018 at Glacier Park. More jobs on the way to Billings. ROI Solutions, a Utah-based call center that just opened its first Montana location in Billings this year, last week announcing that they will now provide customer service for HelloFresh. That's a leading food delivery service. And they are already getting started on the hiring process with a number of hiring events at job service. The first one was held today. Jesse Ross, the senior manager of ROI Solutions, says HelloFresh is currently with them in Utah and have around 100 to 120 people. He says it should be anywhere from 80 to 100 jobs by the end of the year to their 24th Street location here in Billings.
The labor market in Utah has been so rough and competitive for us, which is why we opened the Billings, Montana facility. HelloFresh, because of the competitive market, which increases turnover and attrition for us, we've always talked and wanted to get them out here. Probably 3 weeks ago, they did a facility visit, and we toured them around Billings, and then they got to meet our staff, which was important, met some of the managers, and they just really liked it.
And there are more hiring events ahead this month at Job Service on 2121 Rosebud Drive. You can apply in person on July 24th, the 26th, the 29th, and the 31st from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Teachers' aides play a huge role in the classroom, but studies show Montana is earning an F for its payment of those aides. Tonight, MTN's Gabby Crevitt talked to educators to get their take on these stats.
Graduate teaching assistants are graduate students enrolled in a university who also teach classes or work as a laboratory assistant on campus.
Well, a lot of graduate students who pursue that route, not all, but a lot, will track toward becoming one day faculty members of their own once they graduate and get their further degrees. So this provides them with valuable experience in how education at a higher education level works.
In 2018, the average graduate teaching assistant's wage was $18,850 a year, slightly above minimum wage in Montana, which is hardly a livable wage in a growing town like Bozeman. But Mike Becker at Montana State University says that comparing a graduate teaching assistant wage and a job in the regular economy is not exactly apples to oranges.
So it's important to understand that there's a difference between working for a wage and working as a graduate teaching assistantship. They're not a one-to-one comparison. Graduate teaching assistantships are meant as a support mechanism to help students along the way to further their educational goals.
Still, this means students would most likely need to find another source of income on top of teaching assistantship responsibilities and their own student workload.
While Montana may be ranked last in average wages for graduate teaching assistants, the state offers more opportunities than larger states like Oregon, Iowa, Minnesota, and Tennessee.
In Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
Well, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the state of Montana had 650 graduate teaching assistants in 2018. New report says 12,000 retail stores will close their doors for good by the end of the year. Corey Rangel shows us there might be a glimmer of hope for those stores. They're actually counting on some unexpected shoppers.
The success of online shopping continues to put a strain on retail stores, forcing a wave of closures and bankruptcies. According to U.S. Commercial Real Estate Services, retailers are leaving shopping malls at the fastest rate since at least 2010. The success of online shopping has been one of the biggest threats to U.S. malls, but retail businesses are holding on to a glimmer of hope. Gen Zers, like 15-year-old Annie Richardson, like going to the mall.
Mostly just clothes. A lot of times when I go with my friend, we always stop for food or like ice cream, something like that.
Gen Zers are between the ages of 7 and 22. According to a study, about 95% of them visited a shopping center in a 3-month period last year. And the majority of them say they like going to the mall more than online shopping.
I think it's so much better than just like online shopping. You get to see the clothes in person, and I think it's a good way to spend time with your friends, and you're both doing something you like.
Retailers are also finding new ways to get customers inside their stores. Some businesses, like Forever 21, are offering discounts if shoppers take a picture of themselves at the store and post it on social media. A new way to get customers in the door and to spend money. I'm Corey Rangel reporting.
And there's more news from across our state on the MTN 9 o'clock news. Here's a look ahead.
I'm Andrea Lutz. The Bozeman School District is working on a plan for rules when it comes to student service animals. What the plan is now for those cases and what it could be in the future. It's coming up tonight on the MTN 9 o'clock news on the CW.
But first, still to come on tonight's 5:30 news, this proposal is positively adorable. We're going to check out how this groom-to-be pulled off this now viral moment. Later in sports, Scott shows us why an NFL owner is bringing a soccer camp to Montana.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news leader.